Time to get started on the vegan Huevos Rancheros. Now, obviously that's not quite an accurate title because this dish does not contain any eggs. We're going to use some tofu in place of eggs. If you don't like tofu, if you have a soy allergy, you can leave it out. You can use something like a tempeh, or you can use even like a vegan chicken product or something if you want, just to fill the tacos up. And we're going to make this tofu marinated, so it's going to have a lot of flavor. And we're going to cut this in half this way. And now we're going to slice it up. You can probably get about 8 to 10 slices out of this. We're going to go ahead and get a baking sheet. I'm just going to spray this with a little bit of cooking spray so the tofu doesn't stick to the bottom. And go ahead and just fill the baking sheet with those slices. So now we're going to take a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of Bragg's or soy sauce or tamari sauce. I like this stuff the best. There we go. And we're going to take 2 grated cloves of garlic. Okay. And then I have 1.5 teaspoons of cumin and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. We're going to add that all to a small bowl and then brush this on top of the tofu. You want to try and save about half of the marinade, just so when you flip the tofu over, you can put it on the other side. Okay. So once this is ready to go in the oven, you can go ahead and get that started, but I do have one here that's already been done. All right, so you can just see that's packed full of flavor, and I actually think it tastes best after it's left to sit a little bit, so it's not so hot right out of the oven. It really absorbs the flavor once it's cooled down for a little while. So you can set that aside, and we are gonna get started on salsa next. Next, we're gonna get started on our salsa fresca, which is just a simple fresh salsa. If you've ever had one of those delicious fresh salsas at a Mexican restaurant, that's what we're gonna make. And it's really simple and really inexpensive. So we're gonna start with some tomatoes. We're gonna use a little bit of lime juice, some onion and garlic, and a little bit of hot pepper, which you can make optional, of course. And throw everything into a high-speed blender, except not at very high speed. We're gonna bring it down low just to keep it really chunky. If you don't have a high-speed blender, just cut all these things into very small pieces and mix them in a bowl. So to get started, I'm just gonna rough chop everything a little bit. So I have 3 tomatoes, and I'm just gonna quarter them up like that. And salsas are great because they're so cheap, especially during farmers market season. And if you have other stuff you want to throw in there, like fruit, like peaches or mango or blueberries, you can do that and really make it your own. So we're going to leave some of these tomatoes aside for just a moment. I'm just going to cut a lime in half and give it a little squeeze of juice, not too much or it's going to be very, very sour. It's about a half a teaspoon of lime juice. And this is a jalapeno pepper, so I'm going to cut that in half. We're going to use half of a jalapeno, and then make sure you get those seeds out. I mean, you can leave them in if you want to, but they're going to make it very, very spicy. So by removing the seeds, we're still going to keep some of the spice, but still be able to actually, you know, eat it without our mouths being on fire. Put that in there. Throw 1 clove of garlic. Okay, and then a little chunk of fresh white onion. So we're gonna blend all this stuff first for just a couple seconds and then add the rest of the tomatoes in. And you know what? We'll throw a little bit of salt in there too, just to season everything lightly. Okay. So if you do have a high-speed blender, any kind of blender, start it at a low setting. You don't want to set it really high or you're gonna end up making gazpacho, which is delicious, but not what we're trying to do right now. Okay, so start it low and bring it up no more than halfway. Perfect, okay. Now we're gonna just throw the rest of those tomatoes in the top. And you know what, we'll throw a little bit of cilantro in there too, because I think that's really good. Okay, done, easy. So I'm gonna dump this into a bowl here. You can see it's still kind of chunky. Okay, so that's all set, and now we're gonna fill the other side with the fresh guacamole, which we're gonna make right now.
Lehigh Valley residents are working hard to open a community-owned and operated grocery store in downtown Bethlehem, offering healthy, affordable, locally focused food and informational workshops. The Bethlehem Food Co-op will become a hub of community outreach and education while giving residents a place to shop for groceries and meet their neighbors. The Bethlehem Food Co-op will directly benefit its members in the ethics of small cooperative business. Our membership drive will be starting soon. To learn more about the co-op and how you can get involved, visit our website at bethlehemfood.coop.
Next comes my absolute favorite part, not just of this dish, but probably any dish on the whole earth, which is the guacamole part, because I think this is my favorite food. So we have some avocados here. I'm gonna set that one aside for now. So cut one avocado in half. And I'm gonna do this in the food processor because it makes everything really whipped up and creamy, but you can just use like a potato masher and put avocado in a bowl. If you want, you could use a blender. All right, we'll take that big seed out of the middle and scoop that avocado out. Oh, it's so creamy and good. I can put avocado on anything. All right. I'm gonna take a clove of garlic, throw that in there. And we have some lime juice still left over from our salsa. So it's gonna be the juice of 1/4 of a lime. So I'll squeeze that half just a little bit. I'm gonna put in a little bit of cumin. This is 1 teaspoon. And a little sliver of red onion. And red onion is very, very strong as well. If you've ever had a bite of raw red onion, you know it's kind of impossible to get that taste out of your mouth the rest of the day. So be careful on this. This is gonna be about 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw red onion. And 1 tablespoon of fresh cilantro. Lastly, a little bit of salt. Now, if I'm making this and serving it as kind of like a main appetizer dip at a party or something, once I've blended everything, I will fold some black beans into it and some chopped tomatoes, and then it really makes the quantity of guacamole kind of expand because you have all that stuff for filler. But for right now, I'm gonna leave it as it is. And we're gonna blend everything on high. Okay, and that's done. And again, it's okay if it's a little bit chunky because guacamole is allowed to be. So we'll take that out and we'll just add that to the other side of our bowl. And now that we have almost all of our toppings ready, we just have to warm up the tortillas and we can start to build our dish. We're gonna toast the tortillas right now, and this is actually a much more important step than you'd think. They taste so much better when they've been browned a little bit. So just get a pan nice and hot, and you can use some cooking spray just to spray it down. And you can fit 2 or 3 of these at a time in there. I'll just do 2 for now so you can see what's going on. Have it at a medium-high heat. And you're just gonna leave these in there for about a minute. They're gonna start to get just a little bit brown, flip them over, do the other side, and then they're done. And again, don't miss this step because they taste so much better this way, and it really brings a good texture into the dish. Once both sides are brown, you can take the tortillas out and we're gonna bring them over to the other ingredients and plate the Huevos Rancheros. Assembly time! Get those freshly toasted tortillas, and again, if you use corn tortillas, first of all, they're delicious, and they also make this a gluten-free dish. So get those toasted corn tortillas and put them down on a great big platter. And let's see, you can really pile this up any way you want. I'm gonna use some of that tofu on the bottom. And these are small tortillas, so don't get too crazy. You're not gonna be able to eat them, and everything is gonna tumble out the side. I have a little bit of raw cabbage, there's some green cabbage, and some purple cabbage for color and crunch. And this is a really nice way to keep everything tasting really fresh. There we go. Oh, it's the best color. Okay, next, put on some black beans. Let those spill down the sides a little bit. So this is packed full of protein as well. You've got a lot of fresh vegetables in here. We'll get some of that salsa. Okay, my favorite part, some of that guacamole on top. And now the finishing touch, that lovely garnish on the top, some more fresh cilantro. And we'll just rough chop that a little bit. So we'll put that on the side and some of that cilantro right up on top. Oh, it smells really good. So if you make this, you have to invite me to dinner, that's the rule, or breakfast or brunch, or any time that you're gonna make this because it's amazing. So we're gonna add our chipotle hash browns on the side and we are all set to meet our guest. So there you have it guys, vegan Huevos Rancheros.